Hello and welcome to another update video on Bitcoin. We are at a key spot here. I haven't made any videos on this channel for a few days. Apologies for that, but it was so busy. Lots of other side projects going on. And we still feed all the channels with content and analysis. But we have now reached a key spot, so I wanted to take a moment to take a look at this chart with you. I mean, while I record this update, the price has reached nearly $101,000. The market is moving very, very fast, so the situation could have slightly shifted already by the time you watch actually the video. However, I'm going to tell you updates. No, I'm going to tell you things here that are universally relevant. So it's not going to be invalidated by a small move. Generally, things to watch out for that are going to be important this week for the remainder of the week. Things that are going to have relevance. Okay. So first of all, I wanted to cover two topics. First of all, the next support levels to watch, and then the question why the altcoin season isn't as most people thought it would be like. Yeah. Maybe let's talk about the very first point first. First things first, support. So for the last few weeks, I've been telling you on this channel about the 55-week exponential moving average, how the 21-week EMA is not so important. It's important for the short-term trend, but it's not very, very important overall. And what we saw in recent, let's say crashes, mini crashes, we saw again and again when in 1 week, the 21-week EMA was broken and we recovered back above it, typically in the following week, we came down. That happened the last time in April. No, sorry, it was actually February, March. And it happened here as well. We moved down and it took a couple of weeks to recover, but then we crashed down. And then we kissed the 55-week EMA. Did that again. Came down, recovered. Now we come down to the 55-week. Now, the difference between this crash, mini crash, to the previous ones is not that it's necessarily faster, because it's not, but that it's not as substantial as at least not yet, as the previous ones were. So in this bull market, we have seen corrections of 35% on Bitcoin's chart. So that was in August 24, and then we had one in April, 35%. And we're not there yet. We are probably, I don't know, I haven't measured 20, yeah, 20%. Okay, 20, yeah, exactly, 20%. So it's not the magnitude we've seen before. And so I just want to highlight, look, it might be that we go down a little further. I highlighted we could get a brief break of the 55-week EMA, and it would not be necessarily a full bear market signal. But losing it on a sustained basis would be a strong warning, and I might start to think, okay, we might have topped. So far, all I have done is I have highlighted that the warning is there. The bull market could have topped, right? We talked about that many times, but I simply am not in a position to confirm it because the size of that pullback is not substantial enough to rule out further upside. Now, we talk on our More Crypto Online channel about the microstructures, and I explained also here on this channel previously what the three signals are that would tell us a bear market has started. The first one has happened. The first one was a impulsive reaction to the downside from our resistance area, but the other two haven't. If you don't know which ones these are, I talked about them many times. There's a video about it. I'm sure it's titled "This Confirms the Bear Market" or something. You'll find it here on the channel. It's still relevant. But yeah, pay close attention now to this support area. Now, what I want to highlight is the 55-week EMA. It was tested before, but usually we briefly break below it. Usually. But we haven't seen a weekly close below it before. Not in this cycle, or at least not in the last couple of years. So if that happens, a weekly close, that would be a warning. Just a week below this week or next week might not be substantial enough to really shift sentiment. Yeah. Looking at the weekly RSI, I mean, look, we are basically where we saw the market find support before. This is the weekly RSI. The weekly RSI did not get oversold in this cycle, at least not in the last couple of years, right? Like, it was oversold in a bear market. So typically in a bear market, the weekly RSI gets oversold. But it didn't get oversold in this, let's say, run. So but we're now in this area where the RSI on the weekly has found support before. And we're nearly oversold on the daily RSI. Just saying, let's watch this area around 44 on the weekly RSI. Momentum-wise, weekly MEXC is still pushing lower. Looks like here before. Might take a moment until we recover. So this is support, 98, 99K, watch this area. Okay, so just want to prepare you for that. Weekly chart, what are the things to watch for? RSI, doesn't need to be oversold, but getting close to being oversold. 55-week EMA, doesn't need to hold exactly there, might break briefly below it, maybe 95, 96K. Now, okay, one more thing to mention, and then we get to the altcoin topic. Daily RSI, yeah, on this particular channel here, it was back in February, March, I made a video about something like the last buy signal of this cycle or something. And this was when the daily RSI became oversold. It might happen again. I'm always looking forward to that. I know not everybody does, but I am. Because when the daily RSI gets oversold, it's typically a buy signal. Now, we're not there yet, nearly. So I'm definitely watching this daily RSI being oversold. We're now at 31.70, 32. We haven't been that much oversold since February, March this year. So it's something to watch for. I'll keep you updated about that. Now, why is this cycle not, let's say, as bullish? Or let's say Bitcoin has held its promises. Bitcoin has formed a 5-wave move up from the 2022 low. But altcoins have suffered. Now, I've explained it before, but I wanted to bake that into a separate video. It is because, in my opinion, that altcoins haven't performed so well because on our chart, and we use Elliott wave structures. Yes, I track the 4-year cycle as well, but Elliott wave is king. So it's the rule of market structure. In previous cycles, like 2021, where basically the entire cycle was an altcoin season, we were in the third wave. It was the third wave of that larger fifth wave we're in at the moment. And this is the most bullish phase of all, a third wave. And so it makes absolute sense that in this cycle where everybody was bullish and sentiment was just hype-driven, bullish, aggressive, the altcoins performed really well. From the beginning of this cycle, and maybe not exactly at the beginning, I can't remember when I mentioned it for the first time, but I've highlighted it again and again, and that's not based on fear and greed or cycle theory or narratives, it's based on market sentiment, that in a fifth wave, market sentiment is different. This here is not the third wave anymore, this is now the fifth wave, and it's the end of a larger 5-wave move. So it's not the middle of it, it's the end, and the sentiment is different. You see it in the angle of the move up, it's not as parabolic as it used to be. And in a fifth wave, and I'm baffled that no other Elliott wave analyst has figured it out. I don't know why. Yeah, I don't know why. I'm the only one talking about it. But in a fifth wave, and Bitcoin is like the S&P 500 for stocks, right? It's the main sentiment indicator. And when Bitcoin is in a fifth wave, the altcoins are just not performing well. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm ruling out an alt season or have ruled out an alt season. I haven't. But I've always said that I believe if an altcoin season happens, it needs to, the altcoins are going to run more selectively. Not like 2021, not like 2017, which, by the way, was a larger degree third wave. It was, cycle-wise, we were more in the middle of a cycle, more hype-driven, yeah? Larger degree third wave. This was already a smaller degree. I don't want to get too much into the detail, but this here is the end of it. It's the fifth wave of a fifth wave. So the sentiment is just not where it needs to be for an altcoin season, right? That doesn't mean we couldn't get another boom phase, we can, but that is my explanation why an altcoin season hasn't happened. That's not interest rates. That's not liquidity, even though it might play a role. Yeah, there are certain parameters within which, of course, a fifth wave can unfold. The more easy money is going to come in. Of course, some coins might have run a bit more. Had interest rates maybe dropped a little sooner or whatever. That's my explanation. It's sentiment, guys, and so it's always important. That's the learning. It's always important to pay attention to Bitcoin's larger structure to understand where we are in. A fifth wave is based on Elliott wave structures, which is the rule of market structure, so it's, the king. In a fifth wave, sentiment is we're in the late stages of a cycle, right? In a third wave, we're in the mid stages, and it's more hype-driven, more aggressive, more bullish. So hopefully that gives you an explanation about it. I hope you liked the update. If you did, please hit the like button, leave a comment, and subscribe. And if you're interested in additional updates, then also check out our other channels.
Are you looking for exchange with zero fees over 3,000 plus trading pair with industrial leading liquidity proof of reserve that has 1:1 ratio with 24/7 online customer service support? Scan the QR code to easy to direct MEXC website and start your first trading. Thank you.
Trading is never as easy. But who say you can't have fun? In every minute you lend, the more you will enjoy. As you grow up in this industry, you will find yourself. And so round yourself with people who will help you to grow up as trader. It's hard in the first place, but I am sure you will be successful. As a trader, always remember trend is your friend.